Hi, my name is Irene and I'm a teacher. And today we are going to review 6 educational videos from Edit Talent. We are going to review and score the videos based on the guidelines and the criteria given from my Edit Talent jury. Specifically, we are going to focus on the educational value, the artistic quality, and the technical merit of each video. But what is EDIT? EDIT, the Educational Video Challenge, takes part once a year and it's a hackathon style event. What does it mean? It means that higher education institutes they create teams and they have only 4 days to create an educational video challenge that takes part in the competition. And then a jury from the different countries they decide which video is better. It's an intense competition that takes a lot of knowledge, but it has a lot of fun and a lot of learning inside. You can find more about the Edit Video Challenge on their website. Also, there you can find the videos from other participants and enjoy a lot of educational videos. And you can also participate if you want. You can find the link on their description box. The first video, The Chances in Your Hands, is made as their creators have clearly said to raise awareness about the amount that is wasted every day, the amount of food, and at the same time to provide tips and help people not to waste and have a more sustainable approach towards food. According to my personal opinion, they clearly during the watching of the video, you can clearly see the second idea about the tips and how to prevent the wasting of the food. However, for me, the trying to raise awareness about the food wasted is just one small scene with just some data provided. So I can see that the educational idea behind it, but as a learner, I don't think raise it 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 takes it manages to raise this kind of awareness. The educational intention and the topic it corresponds to the curriculum. It's a hot topic for our age. However, there is a lot of material about it already. Being created from a lot of creators, a lot of teachers and the universities. And it's not approached in any different way from my perspective. So I can see the pedagogical idea, but I cannot say that it amazed me or as a teacher, if I wanted these two pedagogical ideas to be um, to be discussed in my classroom, I will say, okay, I want this one as my first choice. I will also see the other videos of it. That being said, the target group is clearly defined as students and adults who want to improve their knowledge about sustainability. So I can see that it's a wide target group, and trying to fit them all is a video that is doing exactly that, trying to fit a big target group inside it. And for me, it's doing it that quite good enough. Like it doesn't take into consideration quite a lot of different uh, groups, if I can say that there are inside this target group different ages, different learning backgrounds, different uh, socioeconomical backgrounds. Uh, but a video that is trying to target a big group, I think, is that's how it should be. Um, The creators of the video they have positioned the video in the beginning of their pedagogical script as a trigger video to start conversation about food waste and how can students avoid food waste on their everyday life. And that can be a good idea if you're following more debating on the pedagogical theories you are following. If you're following a behaviorism or cognitivism ideas, it can be a really good idea. You can start your lesson giving students some pre-organized ideas, but obviously you can also give as a lecture or by bringing to the classroom the same 2 3 foods the creators also brought in the video, and just writing on your chalkboard the main ideas that they were also written at this video, without just the video is providing some more motion and some more movement and some more exchange of pictures, that maybe it can be more appropriate for students that they are losing their attention, or they want, if you want to have a different material on your presentation. However, if you're following a more constructivism way of teaching, inquiry based collaborative way, or any other way, I wouldn't consider it the best idea to position this video in the beginning of your pedagogical script. According to my personal viewing, I will position it more like in the middle, after activities that they have triggered the personal ideas and views the students have already about what is food wasting, where they can see in their everyday food wasting, or even another video that is showing food wasting as real evidence and not just a number and facts. So it can be part um, of their thinking. And if I wanted to have this video, I will position it in a context of a pedagogical script that is about tips not to waste foods. So I will not position it on just what is food wasting, as the creators are doing. And regarding that, I will put it somewhere in the middle after some learning activities or teaching activities, and it will be a trigger video for the students maybe to create their own video about tips, or after the students have already found some tips to food wasting, and they can be like a video that is proving their facts, adding more ideas, and then maybe they can create their own video as is can be an idea or any other idea. Regarding the educational aim, if we read between the lines of the description the creators have given, the video is aimed for students to see and say. So yeah, it's familiarizing the students with an idea, it's helping them notice and recognize some ideas, so the students can be able to highlight and say some and notice. And at the same time, they can say some facts that they saw, they can recall some ideas, and maybe they can associate that with their everyday life, as it also is a target from the creators, and it can help them to make an analogy and communicate at the end. And after I have watched the jury's ideas about this video, I will kindly disagree, and I will score this video with 7, as it's a really good video, has a really clear educational idea and a target audience, and carries out the idea really simply and well structured. But for me, it doesn't put the students in any further um, thinking. It doesn't leave any open-ended questions and opportunities for students to carry out an individual thinking. Um, so yeah, it's an easily watched video and happily watched from the students, but I don't think that the educational value of the video is only on the easily accessibility of it, but also on the uniqueness and the trigger of conversations with students, and that's always according to my personal way of teaching and personal ideas. And every teacher can have a different idea about it, and uh, it can be clearly a 10 if you're following different teaching ideas in your classroom. That's for me. Now let's look closely the artistic quality of the video. Specifically, the storytelling and the structure are simple and they don't distract the viewer. The narrative of the idea is really clear. There is a girl that is throwing some carrots, and then she is searching on the internet about information how not to waste food, whereas she was about to waste food. And obviously, maybe we see a video inside the video with information, maybe uh, we see information about how not to waste food with some simple objects that they repeat and some simple keywords um, as a simple presentation that you can see in a classroom hall. So it's a narrative that it's a narrative that the viewer can relate and he can follow without getting distracted and without losing the point and the idea behind it. Regarding the acting, as it's also suggested to be taken under consideration from the editorial jury, um, to my understanding, there was no any complicated acting that it will distract the viewers. It was just some movement of the hands and the body that it was a casual, everyday moves. So it was not of any highly artistic that it will distract the viewers. It was just a simple move of hands. And regarding the presentation, it was not a narrative story, it was just a presentation. It was well written, well ready. The actor read it very well, clear, with good grammar, good pronunciation, good articulation, that it was helping the viewer to understand the point of the video. Regarding supporting arrangements, the music is good, it's not distracting the viewer, is enhancing the point of the video creators. It's positioned in places that they are helping the viewer to understand better the point of the video. The visual elements, it's everyday items that they're helping him to get related to the meaning of the story. They have a consistency on the graphics, on the even on the items. They have the same style, simple, more natural, more close to the environment. To my understanding, artistically is getting the point also through that it's a simple life and should protect the environment since this is also their idea. Um, Technically, it's really well executed, and there is no gaps. The transitions are between the recordings. The video is with a black screen, which is an artistic choice. Um, the format is good, high quality, consistent quality. The graphics are good. The credits are given in the end of the film. Generally, it's the choices are successful and consistent in the whole in through the whole video. According to the general guidelines, the artistic quality, to my personal opinion, is between 3 and 4 and 4.5. I will have chosen 3.5 if I could, but I will have chosen 4, but to the 3.4 mainly. Um, because it's a really good video, really good quality, really good graphics, as we discussed further before. The choices are successful and consistent. However, in my personal opinion, it doesn't support 100% and the educational intention of the video, mainly because it's not getting any added value apart from reading a text or finding this information as in a text. the acting part, if I could say, is just visualizing mainly a text. But apart from that, it's a really consistent and really good video. So 3.4, 4, somewhere there. Regarding the technical merits, it's a really good execution. It support all the technical parts are supporting through the message that the video is trying to get through. The image quality is great. It's high definition. It's stable. Um, though there are not many moving acting scenes, but the one they are stable. The cuts they are with a black screen, but I assume that it's an artistic choice since they're trying to get through maybe an atmosphere or they're trying to get the viewer into a certain mood. The animation and the effects are really well simple, getting through the message, and they have letters that they pop up, they have movements, the audio quality is great, the spoken parts are clearly understood, well read, articulated as we mentioned. The music is helping getting through the understanding, it's not overwhelming or really low. And also the accessibility of the video is achieved with the automated subtitles from the YouTube. They're really good. Maybe they have been edited also from the team, the creator team. So it's a really good execution in total and successful. So for me, it's a 4 out of 5, and just that because there's not a lot of acting involved. So it's not like going to extreme mile, but is great in total. So 4 out of 5. Regarding the second video, the quality of the education, the creators they have set the main pedagogical idea as to advocate for inclusive practices during the pandemic and to speak about the long-term effects of the importance of in-person teaching. And they have put the title as quality education, and they are trying throughout the video to um, speak to their audience about what cold education is and how a teacher is feeling through the pandemic, and giving some data from students and from reports that they have been done. However, according to my personal idea, the pedagogical idea is a bit confusing, as throughout the video we haven't been seeing what quality education is really like. It doesn't raise any open-ended questions. The viewer can have this question about, in the end, what is quality education. The video is finishing by saying not all the subjects can be taught online, but this is not proven. But inside the video, we cannot see that. And to my personal opinion, this is an opinion of the viewer. The the sustainable development goals provided by the United Unions, they are stating that we want a quality education for the world. That doesn't mean that online education is not quality enough. As a matter of fact, quality education can be not always part of the in-school education, and quality education can it is not a matter of how the teacher feels. If the teacher doesn't feel close to their students, a student can learn without the need of a teacher. He doesn't need always a teacher to guide him. Learning a quality education is happening not always as we have it in our minds. And bearing that in mind, I don't think the video is trying actually to help this idea through and discuss actually scientific and pedagogical ideas correctly. It's just stating that quality education is not happening right now during the pandemic, and is there are not inclusive practices, and is giving an example of an inclusive practices with a teacher that is saying that she is trying to have some courses to help her have more engaging school lessons with your kiddos. Whereas I am not sure, but as a teacher, I really wanted to see this video to tell me that I have to take courses to become a better teacher, where I'm sure I would have thought about it. But let's bear that in mind. That's a good pedagogical idea. Wanting to help teacher finding a way through the pandemic and through these extreme circumstances to navigate themselves through this different um, teaching style. But this is just a line and a QR code in the end of the video. It's not the whole idea of the video. The whole idea of the video is just teachers expressing their feelings and how they feel during the pandemic, and that the students are not getting great enough, and is giving a report that students were not doing well enough even before the pandemic. So right now during the pandemic, um, the results are even worse. The grades of the students are even worse. That doesn't mean that online education is equal to the online education that we have to implement in the extreme circumstances during the pandemic. Online education was happening before the pandemic, will continue after the pandemic. Is We cannot relate um, these two different circumstances, and that's why I think the pedagogical idea of this video is a bit non-coherent, really transparent, and a bit confusing for the viewer, since we are not really sure if we're speaking about online education, in-person education, uh, pandemic education, the importance of in-person teaching, uh, how bad is online teaching, what teachers should do during online teaching, what teachers should do during any extreme circumstances teaching. So we're not really sure. It could put the video is educators that they are teaching maybe during the pandemic, but educators that, as the creators of the video, they're saying they want them to see them implement the lessons they learned from this video into their practice. Um, so it's a clear target group. The video is corresponding to this target group, is trying indeed to touch it, to help the viewer become part of the video by seeing educators um, speaking to the camera, seeing them how they feel, putting ourselves in their shoes, in an empty school, in empty corridors, in empty classroom, frustrated, sad, all these feelings. So yeah, this video is managing this target of being able to reach their target audience and speak their emotions. Regarding the pedagogical script and where this video will be used during a learning process, there is no indicators from their creators. It doesn't seem to have been taken into any consideration how this video is going to be used in an educational scenario. So we have no clear um, data about that. Um, and to my understanding, maybe can be put in the beginning of an education scenario to start a conversation about the topics I have discussed before about what is quality education, is it online, in person, and pandemic education, because pandemic education is a different thing. We cannot put in the same bucket online education and pandemic online education, because it's a sudden, unclear, undefined move to an unknown space of online education, uh, implemented through a lot of other socio-economic and health factors that they cannot put it in the same bucket. So maybe a video like that raises a lot of questions in a underneath way can start a conversation about um, all the questions that they can be raising. Uh, yeah, but the creators they haven't make an indicator. The only indicator that they make, we're going to discuss it on the aim of the video after. The educational aim of the video, it's also a matter of debate because the creators, they are stating that they are trying to advocate for inclusive practices during the pandemic and on a larger scale for the long-term effects of the importance of in-person teaching. And the educational aim of all that is that they want fellow teachers to share, by sharing this, to inspire them to implement the lessons they learned into their practice. And the question arising is, the video is sharing information, or is a matter of opening open-ended questions of inspiring a move um, to other fellow, especially if we're talking for fellow educators, not for students. And the lessons that they learn from this video, for me, it's also a question. I'm not really sure what lesson I learned from this video, not even lessons. As I said, I'm not sure how should I feel. Firstly, like, should I feel bad about being a teacher during a pandemic and not be able to offer a quality education because I'm not able to provide in-face education? And the only lesson maybe I learned is that um, other teachers feel the same. I'm not alone. Um, as in the video, it was two educators feeling like that, but I'm not sure I wanted the video to tell me that. But yeah, it's a good start. And also, as said, a teacher is saying that she tried hard. She did some courses to implement more better education in her course, and more engaging education. And also, there is given a QR code for the viewer, which is really cool, to use it and see more material, to have access to more material about educational programs um, that he or she can follow. But it's the only thing maybe I learned, that they I can do some training to provide more quality education, whereas I'm not sure that any teacher haven't thought about taking more training in order to provide more quality education. But let's say it's a fact, and I'm not sure which kind of lessons should I implement in my practice as an educator. Should I go with a plaquette and after I did my student's house and say I'm here for you, um, because I'm there for them during the course? I'm not sure I have to go to this extreme mile to prove a point, or maybe to fill the space on me that I feel lonely as a teacher. Maybe it's my personal thing that I should work on that. But it's a good act, it's a good vision that that the students should, the teacher should be there for their students. But generally, the educational aim is for the student to do things on the doing sector. And there are things that the teacher can copy from this video, can take as good suggestion and good ideas, so, and copy them or imitate them. And yeah, regarding the scoring of the video, I'm not so sure yet. If I personally, I balance between 4 or 5, though it's an awarded video that the juries consider as a really good video, and that is subject that is a hot topic, and that's true. However, for me, the educational goal is not clearly defined, and it's confusing educational ideas. It is not confusing any kind of ideas, but it's confusing the same idea of the education. As said, quality education, in-person education, online education, urgent COVID pandemic education altogether is confusing giving advice or implementing thoughts and ideas, and is not clearly being put in an educational script. So I'm not really sure how I should score it if I haven't any data of how this video is going to be used in an educational scenario, because I have these questions be raised, maybe another educator haven't, and is going to use this video as just a point of starting a conversation about how the online education is not quality enough, which it doesn't have any scientific base in my understanding. So the fact that the creators they don't really give for me any pedagogical script is not helping very much. And the video it can be used obviously in educational context, but it's not really defined how and what we expect the learner to get. We expect him, as said, to do something, and what is this thing, and is this a thing that we expect the other educator to do after watching this video, the thing that the actors did in the video, or to do some courses, or what we really expect him to do after that. Even the aim is not for me clearly defined. So I will not say it's important information. I will not say that the video doesn't have any educational context. But for me, it's a 4 out of 10. Regarding the artistic quality of the video, the storytelling and the structure of the video, they're really good. If they don't distract, they're really helping the viewer to get in the shoes of the main characters of the video, and then feel how they feel. Sometimes without like even saying, but just showing, and with good acting and with good position in the space. Um, the supporting arrangement, the music, as said, and even the silence and the poses and everything is really good. The actors, they're really good. You can understand how they feel, how they are viewing the reality, who they are, even without saying, for example, I'm a teacher, I'm a presenter of a show, reporter. You can understand who they are, what they do, and what they're here to, which message they're here to cross to the viewer. So for me, in total, I will give a 4 or 5 there, because the creative choices are really good. They're engaging all the time the viewers. They're supporting the aim of the video, and they are successful and consistent at the whole time. Regarding the technical merits of this video, they are really good. They are not distracting the viewer mainly. They are supporting the understanding. Specifically, the image quality is good. The picture design is also good enough. The video generally stable. Um, really good. I think the editing has been done a really good effort. There can be seen some points that they can be a bit of like, especially like in the beginning of the video, distracting. When there is passing from the narration of the actor that is supposed to be a news presenter to the testimonial of the things the teacher actors they have to say. But then the editing on this part is getting better and not distracting enough. Though regarding the accessibility point in this place, maybe it's confusing with people with lower hearing if you have two different species one on top of the other, but artistically it's good enough, and as a viewer, definitely not distracting. The animation in the beginning and in the end, they're really good. They are supporting the story. The graphics and the titles in the beginning, they're great. In the end, they don't have the same atmosphere, the same style with the first ones. They're more simple with really big letters, but they're good enough. I really like the QR code that is making the video a bit more interactive with the audience, so the audience can scan the QR code and they're directed to further information, which is a really good idea. And artistically and technically, it's really good. The audio quality was great. Um, the music was not distracting. There was not any background noises. That they were also um, they were not causing any confusion. So in general, the technical aspect was the technical aspect was really good, and the execution was mostly successful. And regarding the accessibility, there were subtitles, automatic from YouTube. Maybe again edited from the creators of the video. The in the whole part of the video they were good enough. So regarding accessibility for not hearing people were good enough. Not sure about not visual people with visual aids, but of course it's a different aspect to consider. And in total, the technical aspect was of the video was really good. Was supporting at the starting, not distracting, um, and the execution was mostly successful. And the video editing was didn't have any big problems, and the accessibility was taken into part of the consideration. So for me, it's a 4 out of 5. The pedagogical idea of this video, sleep deprivation, is clear, simple, clear, and is getting through the message. The idea has been said from the creators is to explain how important is sleep in our lives and what we have to take out of what we have to take care for our mental and physical health. And this is the main idea, and it's getting through the whole video. There is no any distractions, there is no any ways that the viewer doesn't get through this message in a really good and coherent way. Also, the pedagogical idea of the lack of sleep and how should people take into consideration how important is sleep in our lives and our health is part of many educational materials and a lot of a hot topic in education nowadays and generally in our society. The target group of the video is not being clearly discussed from the creators of the video. We don't have any clear statement regarding who is this video targeted to. However, we can mainly assume that these two students, done from students to fellow students, because we see the main character studying, sleeping on her desk, being on a university, maybe a cafeteria. So I can assume that maybe the target audience is young people, students. But that being said, it's not being clearly defined, and it can be a wider audience and pretty much anyone. Unfortunately, the same way we don't have any idea about who this video is targeted, we have also no idea about how this video is going to be used in the pedagogical script according to their creators' thoughts. The creators they don't clearly say anything about the pedagogical script, how and if and how this video is going to be used in an educational process. It will be in the beginning, in the end, in the middle, will be an point of discussion maybe. We can assume that it can be a point of discussion, starting a lesson about health, about mental health, about lack of sleep, about any of these topics, or it can be even in the middle after they have already discussed and maybe they see themselves on this video, or they also see this video and they try to create their own videos, or in any kind way. It's a video that it can be placed in different places throughout a pedagogical script, but the creators really haven't give us any pedagogical clue regarding that. Well, is to explain. The educational aim of the video is clearly defined as to explain the importance of sleep to the audience, and that is achieved by saying from the creators how important is sleep and showing that, and they intend obviously the students to be able to maybe express themselves about that and be put in the shoes of the main character, and it's closing very well with again and again and again. And it's trying to psychologically put you also in the same position. If again and again is this happening, how would you feel? So they're trying obviously to engage, but they have set the goal a bit in a different level of just the students seeing it and have something being explained to them, and be able for them to recognize what is sleep deprivation and how they can how this is affecting them. And summarizing that, I would be really happy to put a 7, for example, out of 10 to this video, because they are touching a challenging situation. They're trying to get through a message about that. They're assuming that it can be used. I can assume that this video can be used in educational context and can provide added value to their learners, whereas the creators of the video, they haven't really helped me through that, and they haven't really set any clear learning goals. They haven't really set any educational script. They haven't really defined any clear target audience, any pedagogy that is following through the video, that is helping for me as a teacher, for example, to have a coherent idea how I'm going to use this video in my educational process. So it's between 6 and 7 to my personal idea. The structure of the video is really clear. The storytelling is also transparent, clear, really helping the viewer to get through the message. We're just seeing a person through their night until the other night. We are following them. We can understand how they feel, how their emotions, how they act, and the acting is also really good. Despite the fact we cannot see the actors speaking, we just have a narrative of mainly a speech. We can the narrative is good, is with a good emphasis, with a good pronunciation, with a good putting the atmosphere in the good momentum. And the actors that I started speaking about before, despite the fact that they don't speak, they are putting through the camera the emotions that they have. We can being place themselves in their shoes, how they feel, how they are facing the situations, and the supporting arrangements, such as the music and the visuals in the beginning and in the end, the structure of the scenes, they're really good. They are providing added value. They are helping the viewer to getting through the point. And that being said, for me, it's a 4 to 5, not sure, because the creative choices support and even provide added value to the education video, and they have a consistent understanding and artistic and stylistic choices. So maybe 5 out of 5. The technical aspect of the video, according to my understanding, is really good. It's supporting the target of the video, is getting through the message. The image quality, firstly, is really good. It's sharp. It's not blurry or moving. It has a good focus. It's following the three quarters rule. And it's stable. The design. Is really good. The photography is also good and has the same style, the same atmosphere, the same colors throughout the video. The editing is really good. We don't have any sudden moves. It has the same kind of rhyme, not fast, not slow, and is good enough. Also, I have to put extra credits on the fact that they have subtitles put in inside the video from the creators, done by them and with big letters, and that's really good for the accessibility of the video. And also, for example, we have like the main character watching the alarm clock, and and we have this appearing also as letters on the side part of the image, which is really good. For example, if we have a viewer that doesn't have a really good seeing, he can maybe notice the blur white letters instead of the image of the phone, which is really good. The audio quality is great, is excellent. We don't have any sudden level ups and downs of the voice. Um, is stable, coherent, as we discussed, and with good pronunciation. We don't have any backgrounds. We have some music getting in some moments, which is really good, and it's helping the viewer to get inside the atmosphere. So for me, the technical aspect is great, and it's a 5 out of 5. The video Mademoiselle Noir, which was also the winning video of the competition, is indeed having a great pedagogical idea about the mental health and the struggle of the struggles that people with depression, uh, the struggles that people with depression are facing. It's a clear idea. It's trying to get through a clear message. The creators, they have clearly defined what they expect from the video and what they want, and they are doing that by a really consistent and coherent and beautiful way, following the life of a woman and representing the idea of the feelings of depression with an actual human being, the Mademoiselle Noire, that is following her and making her life complicated, hard, and difficult, and affecting her everyday life with a really harsh way. And despite that, he is also providing a solution. Also, so the judges notice they are providing a solution to this, and they are to my understanding, is great that they are is not the Mademoiselle Noire, the depression is not living by the side of the main actor, because in reality, depression is not always living, is a mental health issue. It's a long life battle for a lot of people. But the main actor, the protagonist, her name is Mikhail. She is embarrassing the idea that Mademoiselle Noire is going to be next to her. She is asking help from her family, for her friends, from social health uh, providers, and she is learning how to live with Mademoiselle Noire with depression without affecting her life, and trying to find a way through that. And to my understanding, it's a pedagogical idea that should be discussed. It's a sensitive issue and it should be um, given. And the way it's given, it's um, a really good way to educate people about what depression feels like and how we can handle depression as viewers, as helpers, or as a person that we are may be facing depression symptoms and we haven't realized that Mademoiselle Noir is next to us and it's not our fault or it's nothing wrong with us. Also, the target group of the audience is clearly defined this time from the creators of the video as mainly people that they are affected by mental illness and above all depression as being said, but also their environment, their people, their family, their friends, and putting it in an even wider idea, everyone that have any interest of mental illness. If I may add, uh, everyone should watch this video and get an idea about what is mental illness because it's affecting, as the video said, a lot of people. So the target group is also narrow and wide at the same time, and the video is handling very well these different target audiences, and I think is speaking very well also to people that they have mental illness, also to their environment, so they can understand how their friend or their family member is feeling and is dealing through depression, and also all people that they think they don't have anyone in their environment, maybe they will find out that they do have, or maybe themselves they do have some signs of a mental illness and they should look for help for themselves or for others, and also be sensitive to anyone they meet in their lives that it needs more help. Unfortunately, again, we don't have any clear outline from the creators of the video on where we can use this video in a pedagogical script. They are just stating that we can use it in various pedagogical settings and in any place that the topic of mental illness is dealt, and it can also be used to raise hope in any environment. So this is the learning outcome that we mainly hope, but we have not any examples of how we can use this video in a pedagogical script done by the creators. But however, I'm sure it can be used in any pedagogical script. The aims of the video, they are clearly being set by the creators as to sensitize about the mental illness, to show everyone how suddenly can someone be affected, to illustrate that it's a disorder and not being stigmatized and same, and to offer also clarification about the feelings and this mental health. Despite the fact that the educational aims seems to be more as the student, the viewer, we want them to be sensitized to see something, to be able to notice, to familiarize himself, to recognize the symptoms, the mental illness, and be sensitive about that. To my understanding, they also want the students to be able to do. They want them to be able to have the skills of identifying mental illness, to be able to modeling a behavior how to deal with mental illness, and to perform maybe give help with someone with mental illness or themselves to ask for help. I think the aims they were despite the fact that they seem to concentrate or seeing, we can also being expanding on the students doing, saying, helping, and engaging in with the context and in their life with what they are taking from this video. In conclusion, the educational value of the video is outstanding. It's helping about the current challenge that the society and maybe the students are facing. It creates material that is necessary I am sure that is already existing since it is a hot topic and there are a lot of videos out there dealing with the same subject. But it provides also another view and is considering also different target groups as we discussed, and is helping to have a good educational material in the classroom despite the fact we don't have an educational script being clearly defined. So for me it's a 9 out of 10. The artistic quality of the video is also really good. The storytelling of the structure is well defined, well given. The narrative of the story is really engaging. It's raising an agony and questions of how what is going to happen, and is really engaging the viewer of how is this going to end, and is drastically putting an atmosphere of really an engaging story. The acting is also great. We are able to understand the feelings of the main actor and how does he feel and how he's dealing with the circumstances of the mental illness, and the supporting arrangements such as the music, the sound effects, the visual elements, the narrative of the story behind the animations given. They're all put in a way that is not overwhelming and is not distracting the viewer, but is really helping to get the message through. This is a consistent also style and artistic choices of maybe some darker colors and some brighter colors depending on the mood, and it's really all of that coherent and clearly defined, and the choices are really good. So for me, it's 5 out of 5. The technical part of the video is also should be taken under consideration because it's really well done. And it's supporting the video, the message of the video, and it's making it stand out. The image quality is great. It's not any blurry or any moving or any weird scenes. And the editing is also really good. The audio for me, I really like the sound effects that they are adding to the story by providing the atmosphere and how the person is feeling when she's hearing the inside thoughts as the Mademoiselle Noirs saying, and the graphics, for example, the pop up of the message, how she sees the message on the phone, and we pop up and we see it on the scene, and we see some also graphics that they help. For example, a point that we see that the number that she's calling is a Germany helping a line that is helping people with mental health, so we can have a context. And generally, they're all providing a coherent and good experience for the viewer. The accessibility of the video is not taken also as an extra part of the consideration of the creators because they haven't added any subtitles, for example. We can only see the automated one from the YouTube. Maybe they're edited also from the creators though, because they're good. They're really good. Taking all that to the consideration, it will be between 4 or 5. The fifth video, A Letter of Change, is an educational video about the environmental protection, and as the creators are stating the urgency to take action now because it's going to be too late in the future. It is a pedagogical subject that has been discussed already a lot, but it's still uh, a hot topic in the education because it has to be, we have to take action about it. It can be attached to a lot of curriculums at different grades, and the pedagogical idea is clearly discussed through the video, and the viewer can easily uh, attain the message the creators want to send. The target group, though, is not really clear. We assume it's all the viewers, any age, uh, any background. The creators haven't said any other specific target group. According Regarding the pedagogical script, also the creators they haven't give any hint on where we can really use it on our on our lesson planning. We assume it can be in any part, maybe in the beginning, middle. We don't really know. Any educator can use it as he or she wants. The educational aim of the video, as it has been stated from the creators, is to make the viewers think about their actions and their consequences to the environment. So it can be more targeted or seeing and understanding and reflecting maybe uh, on the environmental. In conclusion, since the video can provide an added value and it can be linked to a curriculum, we really don't know which one, but we can assume. And it can be used in an educational context and it can provide added value, even though there are a lot of videos about climate change. We can assume that this video can also provide added value. So for me, the score would be between 7 and 8. I will put 8. Regarding the artistic quality of the video, the storytelling and the structure of the video are really clear, cohesive. The viewer cannot be lost or has any misunderstanding about the current timeline or where the story is going. The acting, it's convincing. You can see the actors having emotions and facial expressions that they can add you more. It's not too much of an acting through the video. They're more like uh, B-rolls, but the one that it is, it's a good one. And the narrative behind um, the actor that is reading the actors reading their letters are good, clear, understandable, with a good pronunciation and understanding to the viewer. The supporting arrangements, they're good, and you can see a classroom, you can see them in outdoor space. It's not something extraordinary, but they're good. They're aligning with the story. They have the same structure. The style is consistent, and they're not misleading or confusing the viewer. So in total, since the creative choices are engaging and there is an educational interior of the video, uh, it's the educational interior of the video. It's supported, and the creative choices are good enough. We can say that for me, it's a 4 out of 5. Finally, about the technical merits of the video, the image quality it's good enough. There is a difference between the B-rolls and that they are from a stock library and the footage that they are suited by the creators, but it's not too destructive. There's no any really bothering image quality in general. Sometimes the camera seems unstable for me as a viewer, but maybe it's an artistic choice. I it's not like perfect, but it's not really bothering for the viewer and misleading or too much annoying for me, for an amateur viewer, obviously. The editing is good enough. There is good transitions. There is not any collapsing. There's no any bothering scenes that you're misleading. There are some gaps, maybe. The editing is good enough. There's no any weird cuts. The music is supporting the editing. There are some a bit um, sudden cuts, but it can also be an artistic choice. So for me, it's good enough. The audio quality is also good. There's no background noise or disturbance. The graphics and the titles in the beginning and in the end are good. Lastly, about the accessibility, the only comment I can make again as the previous videos is that there are subtitles, but again auto-generated. We cannot know, maybe the creators have edited them in some part because they're good enough, but and they are just that. It has to be an optional choice about people for hearing problems. But again, there are people with visual problems or other kind of disabilities that it can be more inclusive. But all the videos they are in the same page, so nothing really um, different about that. So in total, the video has a good technical aspect. It's not disturbing. The execution is really good, more successful, and the accessibility is achieved. So for me, it's between 3 and 4 to 5. I will say 4. Last video to be together. The educational aim, as is also stated from the creators, is to raise awareness about road safety and driving with safe attitude. And as a pedagogical idea, it's great. It can be attached to other curriculums again. It can always provide added value to raise awareness on this subject. Whereas again, there are videos about this topic in the other any other effort, it can be really welcome again as the previous videos. What is bothering me a bit, but maybe it's my personal confusion, is I'm not really sure that I can get this idea through from this video. Um, it's clear that there is something about driving safely, because in the video obviously is ending with a car accident, but I'm not really sure I get it through the storyline of the video that we can discuss further later. What happened? Is it like they missed the stop signals? Did the driver were drunk? The driver of the bike was not careful enough? And what should be the attitude that I should have so I can be safe in the road, and I accordingly. Which what is exactly what we're trying to teach the kids, not to drink before they drive. I'm not sure the a main actor, she was drinking because she was drinking the night before. Maybe the next day that she drove, she was not sober enough, or we see her after being drunk to walk in the middle of the street, though nothing happens. Maybe is this what we should concentrate? So the storyline is confusing me, and I'm not sure I can get exactly the idea very well through. But maybe this is my own confused interpretation of the video. The target group of the video is the first time that we see a more specific target group, as the creators are stating that viewers of age 13 and above. So the video is not speaking to kids, and I can find that really reasonable because it involves drinking alcohol, which also we have to state that the target group has to be really in this occasion, taking into consideration which country, for example, we are targeting to, because, for example, there are countries that they wouldn't show people drinking in young learners because of laws or because of personal beliefs and social structure and ideas, which should be really understandable. But I think that the creators should take into notice and had an attention notice maybe, but it involves drinking. And also, the last scene is involves a car accident that leads, we don't know, in maybe even in death or maybe in just an injury. We don't see it, and this is safe enough for our target audience, is the young learners. But maybe should also be taken into consideration, and the creators have an alert message before we see it, the viewers see it. Um, that's that about the target group. Again, about the pedagogical script, we don't have a clear statement of where we can use it in our lesson planning. The creators, though, have a message that this video can get trigger the learners to search themselves about the highway code and the right road behavior, correct road behavior. Um, that being said, we can assume that it's a video that maybe it's in the beginning of the lesson and trigger some discussion and some more searching and some more planning, we assume, which can be, I assume, good enough. But every educator can choose accordingly. The aim of the video, as also been stated from the creators, is to encourage the viewers to observe the road when they are driving, the road safety, and have a good road behavior. So we can see a seeing aim, the students be able to see, to understand, to observe. We can assume it's also can be a doing, as also all the previous videos. I forget to mention that, of course, they're stating and seeing aim, but I can understand that the higher target, even if it's not mentioned by the educators, is for students to have a good role behavior, to have a good climate, road behavior, and etc. The previous videos. So, in conclusion, the educational goal of the video, it is clear, and we can see the intention of the creators. But as I say, to my personal understanding, it is not really clear how they're trying to do it, and they are adding different road safety um, things to be considered as alcohol, high speed, maybe even uh, take into consideration the traffic, or maybe even be careful of how the biker is driving. So I'm not really sure again. So this is a bit confusing. The defining target group is clear, but also should be a bit of we should consider wisely before we choose to show it to all the students above 13, and it can be used, I assume, in some educational context, according to the creators, definitely, that they have a clearer vision maybe of the video, and I would be glad to understand more. So for me, it's between 2 to 4. I will say 3. As discussed before, it's a great idea, it's a great educational target, educational aim, but what is confusing for me about this video is the storytelling and the structure of it. I'm not really sure what we are seeing. We are seeing a girl having a partying, having fun, maybe getting drunk. I can say that in the beginning of the video, and also because of the title "To Be Together," it was not really giving me some hints of what I'm going to see if I don't read them a description box. I wasn't really sure. Maybe I was seeing a video about how not to drink too much, or how to be careful when you're partying, not to leave, for example, your drink unattended or something like that. I wasn't really sure. And then we see this girl not driving home, so she doesn't get in any bad road behavior, but taking her way home walking. And there I could assume, but maybe it's a video about how to go home safely about after partying, or how not to be risky walking in the street. Maybe something will happen, but we don't see her arriving home. We can assume maybe she went home or something like that. And then the girl, she is getting the next morning in her car. Well, not sure again. Maybe she hasn't get sobered by yet. She was still a bit under alcohol affection, or I cannot see really the relevance. Maybe is that. And then she is driving a bit quicker. Maybe we don't really see any sign in the road saying what is the speed limit. Maybe she was in a high street and the limit is good enough. We don't really know. Because also the ending scene, we are seeing a highway, not a road of a street. So maybe it was a good enough speed. The speed it was good enough. Um, and then we are seeing a biker without the helmet or without any protective gear. And we don't know, and we see her driving. We don't know if she sees any stop sign, but we are seeing her stopping. I'm not really sure if she stopped late. She stopped in the middle of the street. We cannot really know where she stopped and what happened. And then probably a car accident happened between the previous car and this bike. Seeing the last scene, we see a bike fallen down, and also some signs fallen down, a stop sign and turn sign, I think. But we're not really sure which one was fault and what me as a learner should I understand from all of this information. And then a high street scene, and then be careful for the people that they want you to be. Be careful for the street, not only for you, but for the people that are waiting back home for you. Even though, for both of these girls, we didn't see someone waiting for them home. Or maybe they really had suicidal attitude. We don't really know. Like, it's confusing the last message for me with what we are actually seeing as viewers. For example, if I say a family and someone actually waiting for someone behind, and maybe more emotional story, I could get the last sentence and the last point, but I'm not really. And closing that, the structure, the storytelling is not clear for me. Maybe someone can help me on that, but I am a bit confused. And also, the acting, though it's good enough, we can see that the driver is drunk. The girl that before was driving in the beginning, she was drunk. We're not seeing too much of another acting, if I can say. Maybe she's also tired the next day in the morning. But yeah, this acting, this small part of acting was good enough. And the supporting arrangements, I can say that in the beginning, the texting with the friends, the elements that they pop up, the animation, it was also it's helping. You can see the phone in this way, it was good. We can also discuss that in the technical aspect. Um, the music is good enough. There were some technical maybe things for me, like maybe some more slow moving in sometimes, and maybe some um, B-rolls, some things that we are seeing and around the surroundings, but maybe they are taking a bit more, but me as I would have chosen. But maybe this is also an artistic choice. But for me as a viewer, is on top of its storytelling structure, um, my my personal misunderstanding, this slow and a bit different, and this supporting arrangements, they are a bit, sometimes a bit confusing me. So unfortunately for me, it's not really, I cannot put a really good credit and good score, even though it's a good artistic choices. But because personally I cannot understand the storytelling, and this also affected the educational um, score I put, because if I had understood the storytelling really clearly, I would also put a bigger score there. Here it also be between one or two. I will put two. Regarding the technical merits, closing with that, the image quality is good enough. They are not out of focus. It is clear. Um, and the design and all the perspective is good enough. Um, it also it, the this the it is a stable camera generally, and the editing is also good enough. There's no sudden cuts, or there's no weird scenes. The animation, I said before, for example, the bubbles of the phone, the text phone, they are supporting the story, and you can see what they're discussing. If I can add something to editing, as said before, is maybe I will cut the B-rolls a bit quicker, maybe like smaller between the action scenes. For example, the scene that we are seeing some leaves, it could be a bit smaller, or the scene that we're seeing the uh, the traffic, the the speed, the speed of the car, where we see what is the speed of the car. Maybe it could be a bit smaller, but this is my personal choice, if I can say. Um, the audio quality, because it was a video without any storytelling, without any speaking, it was just natural noises of the background, maybe close to maybe SMR video. It was good enough. It had a differentiation. For example, when the camera was in an outdoor space and it was in an indoor space. So for me as a viewer, and maybe going to the accessibility, a bit sensitive viewer to the different voice levels, for example, I would prefer to have a more stable audio quality, not getting a bit higher and lower too much. For example, the music part, we had the music of the party was a bit lower, then it was too silent. But maybe it was trying to get through an atmosphere and some emotions. So yeah, it's good enough if this was the target of the creators. I will prefer though in some scenes to have a bit less background noise, if it would be that possible. The graphics in the beginning and in the end, it was simple and good enough. The accessibility part, because it's a video that has any speaking again, it didn't need any subtitles. That's why it doesn't have any. A small mention about the accessibility, it will be that in the party, in order to for the creators to make the atmosphere of maybe a club party of different lights and different movings. They have a lot of lights that they pop in and out, like switch on and off. Like we have alteration in the lights really quickly and rapidly between bright and dark, and this can be really sensitive maybe for some people, and can cause seizures or any other disturbance to some people. So for me, it would be really good if they had a disclaimer in the beginning of the video. So, if for example I couldn't watch this kind of content, I wouldn't continue and get, for example, triggered from this scene. But apart from that, the technical part is good enough. Um, it's mostly successful for me, and they're getting through the educational context. So it will be between 2 and 3. It will be maybe 2 for me. Lastly, thank you so much for watching all this video about all these personal ideas about these educational videos. Um, they was really great words. That's why they inspired me to study them further and even maybe too much see them in too much a critic eye. But it was really great words, and also this whole process of trying to view too much carefully and score the videos according to all the edit talent jury's criteria. It really helped me to see with a more critical eye our personal creation, the one my team created. It was a really wonderful process of creating it, but because it was a really short time, we didn't really had the time to get used to get really familiar to all these do edit talent jury criteria. So maybe I should have watched more thoroughly the criteria before the start of this course, or maybe a preview task would have helped me to really get into this merits that we should take into consideration when we create educational videos beforehand. Because truthfully, I really get most my too much enthusiastic about creating actually a video, and I really maybe lost all these points that now I'm really critical towards my the other competitors, the other creators of video. But I can really see now, read more carefully our own video, and yeah, it was really an educational challenge for me, and I think I learned more from seeing and trying to score and judge in a way my the other creators video and seeing more critical our own work. That was it. Thank you so much for staying all this time. I would love to hear also your thoughts about these videos and how you see and you review each of them. And I would love to make it a different opinion so I can see it from a different perspective. Again, you can also see the rest of the videos that they were competed at the Edit Education Video Challenge. And as I said, more information about the challenge, all of them, they're in the description box down there. Thank you so much for staying.